Hey kids, Miss Jen from Kids Connection here for today's story time. And today I thought it would be great if we could kind of take a look at the story that we talked about from our lesson on Sunday. So if you guys remember, one of the Bible passages that we were looking at was actually Joshua 1:9. And we were talking about how God had given Joshua a pretty big task to complete and that it was kind of scary and that he might have been afraid. But God encouraged Joshua, saying, "Don't be afraid, don't be discouraged. I'm going to be with you because I'm with you wherever you go." So today I thought it would be cool if we took a look at that story and saw exactly how everything played out as Joshua followed through with what God told him to do. So if you guys want to gather around, we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm actually using Elijah's Bible right now. So it's my first Bible, right? And we're going to open it up to the story about the walls of Jericho. So Jericho is the city that God had told Joshua to lead his people to and to conquer. So we're going to get started. All right. It says, "At last the 40 years in the desert ended, and when Moses died, God chose Joshua to be the new leader. Joshua was worried about being the Israelites' leader, but God told him that he would be with him. Joshua sent 2 spies to Jericho from their camp on the far side of the Jordan River. The cities had walls around it. A woman called Rahab lived in a house on the city wall. She sheltered the men for the night. But the king of Jericho heard about the spies. He sent his soldiers to capture them. Rahab was too clever for the king. She hid the spies on her roof, and when questioned, told the soldiers that they had left. Rahab knew that God wanted the Israelites to have Canaan. "We are all afraid," she told the spies. "Promise me that you will look after my family and keep us safe when you take this city." "We promise to look after you if you promise to tell no one what we have been doing here," said the men. "When we capture the city, you must tie a red cord to the window, so we know not to attack you. Call your family together, and we promise to keep you all safe." Rahab promised to keep the men spying a secret. Then she let them down from her window on a rope, and they went back to tell Joshua what they had found. Soon afterward, the Israelites got ready to cross the Jordan River to capture Jericho. But the water level in the river was high, making it too dangerous to cross. However, the priests went ahead, carrying the box with God's laws in it. As soon as they stepped into the river, the banks collapsed upstream, damming the water. Now people at Jericho could cross the riverbed easily. Next, the Israelites took 12 stones from the middle of the riverbed. They piled them up on the bank as a sign of God's help in bringing them into Canaan. Then the river flooded through again. So did you guys catch that? The water actually got stopped up until they got through. And then as soon as they were through, it came flooding through again. So a miracle that God was with them and was helping them to cross the river to get to Jericho. The Israelites set up camp outside the walls of Jericho and celebrated Passover. The walls of Jericho were high and thick. Strong gates meant that no one could get in or out. How could the Israelites capture such a well-defended city? But God told Joshua what to do. Each day, for 6 days, you must march around the city walls. Place 7 priests at the front. The men with my box of laws must go next. The priests should have trumpets made of ram's horns, and they are to blow them as you march. Everyone else must remain quiet. On the 7th day, march around the city 7 times. Then the priests must play one long note on their trumpets, and all the people are to shout loudly. The walls of Jericho will fall, and the city will be yours. So you guys catching this? God's just telling Joshua that they're supposed to march around the city. Now he's giving them very specific instructions, but I don't see anything about giving them an army or storming into the city with weapons, right? He's telling them march around the city, and then on the last day you're going to use trumpets. Trumpets are an instrument, right? So he's telling them you're going to blow this one note really loud on your trumpets, and then all the walls are going to fall. Does that sound like something that can happen if God's not with them and not helping them? No, right? So let's see what happens. The Israelites did as God had instructed them. Each day they marched around the walls of Jericho, and each night they returned to their camp. On the 7th day, they marched around the city 7 times. On the 7th time, the priests sounded the trumpets. Joshua gave the order for everyone to shout. The Israelites shouted as loudly as they could. The walls of Jericho came crashing down, and they captured the city. Only Rahab and her family were saved. So the only people saved were the woman that had helped the spies and her family, just as they had promised, right? So the city was burnt to the ground. This was the first of Joshua's victories in Canaan. The Israelites slowly conquered the promised land with Joshua as their leader. So what do you guys think? Pretty cool, right? Yeah, so there's no way that that could have happened if God wasn't with Joshua. So what does that mean for us? That means, like we talked about on Sunday, that if God asks you to do something, he's going to be with you when you do it. And that no matter what happens, no matter how afraid you are or how things might look, God is always going to be there with you, and he's always going to help you to do what he asks you to do. So if you remember a memory verse from Sunday, when I am afraid, I will put my trust in you, right? So when we're afraid, we can put our trust in God, and he's going to help us to make it through. So I just want to encourage you guys with that today. And remember, if you are praying and you feel God telling you to do something and you do it, have mom or dad shoot me a text, let me know what it is that you did so that I can give you a shout out on Facebook and Instagram and just let everybody know how you guys are doing an awesome job of being obedient to what God is calling you to do. Have a great day.